There are some trees that are just trees. And then there are trees that hold stories, secrets, and generations of memories. The white oak in my front yard had been planted by my great-great-grandfather in 1823. It had survived wars, hurricanes, power lines, and developers. My grandfather hung a swing on it for my mom. My mom tied birthday balloons to it for me every summer. And when she passed, we spread her ashes under that tree. It was sacred to us. So when I got a formal letter from the Cedar Hollow HOA demanding I cut it down due to leaf drop violations and neighborhood aesthetics, I thought it was a bad joke. It wasn't. Karen Holloway lived across the street in a 2-story colonial with plastic flowers in her yard and 3 no trespassing signs on a 7-foot privacy fence. She was the self-proclaimed enforcer of Cedar Hollow's HOA guidelines. Mid-50s, always with a clipboard, and wore sunglasses even at dusk. Karen hated the tree. She said the falling leaves attracted pests, blocked the sun, and ruined the visual cohesion of the cul-de-sac. Never mind that the oak had stood there long before her vinyl-sided palace even existed. Her vendetta had been brewing for years, but this letter made it official. She gave me 21 days to remove it. I tried the polite route. I attended the next HOA meeting with photos, historical documents, and even a letter from a state arborist verifying the tree's historical significance. Karen rolled her eyes the whole time. When it came time to vote on my appeal, she declared herself in conflict of interest and appointed a temporary chair, her best friend, Susan. The vote? 3-2 in favor of removal. I was furious, but I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I simply nodded, went home, and opened my laptop. Because I had an idea. You see, my great-great-grandfather didn't just plant the oak tree. He owned half of what became Cedar Hollow. His land had been parceled off into lots over the years, but my family still retained legal easement rights to parts of the original property line, including the drainage field that ran behind Karen's home. I'd inherited those easement rights quietly, like a footnote in the will, but it meant that no one, not even a HOA president, could alter the landscape near that field without my permission. And guess what Karen was doing? Installing an in-ground pool. I sent a cease and desist. Karen ignored it. I hired a surveyor. He confirmed her contractors were encroaching on my easement by 4 feet, so I filed suit, not against her, against the HOA, because the HOA had approved the pool, and once I proved they were in violation of a private easement, the whole board was legally liable. Karen went ballistic. She called me at 11 p.m. screaming, left notes on my door, had her husband knock on my windows, but I didn't engage. The judge reviewed the 1923 easement. It held up. The HOA was found in violation of private property rights and ordered to halt all construction. Karen's pool was already halfway dug. She had to fill it in. The board was fined $27,000. But that wasn't the best part. As part of the settlement, the HOA was required to revise its bylaws, which meant opening the floor to new board nominations. I ran for HOA vice president. My neighbor Sam, a war veteran who loved the tree, ran for president. We won by a landslide. Karen was still on the board as secretary, but her power was gone. We rewrote the rules. Historic trees were now protected. Fines had to be reviewed by independent mediation, and any construction near easements required dual sign-off. Karen refused to attend board meetings. She stopped responding to emails. She still glared at me from across the street. Then she made a fatal mistake. She stopped paying her HOA dues. 6 months passed. As per our new bylaws, any home 180-plus days delinquent on dues would face a lien and possible foreclosure vote by the board. It wasn't personal. It was procedural. We sent the notices. She didn't pay. At the annual HOA auction, her property had one bidder, me. I bought her house for $36,000 below market value. When I showed up with the keys, Karen was sitting on the porch crying. Section 10. The dog shelter. You'd think I'd flip it for a profit, but I had a better idea. My partner runs a non-profit for senior dogs, so we converted Karen's former 2-car garage into a cozy indoor shelter, fenced the backyard, painted the walls with dog paw prints. We named it Holloway Haven. Karen tried to sue for emotional distress. She lost. Cedar Hollow changed. We installed benches under the oak tree, added bike racks, hosted weekend potlucks. People laughed again. And every evening, The dogs of Holloway Haven barked happily while kids played beneath the branches of a 200-year-old oak. Karen moved into a one-bedroom apartment outside the neighborhood. I hear she's trying to join another HOA. Rumor is they've already flagged her for excessive complaints. The oak still stands, strong, steady, rooted in history, just like me. And every time I sit beneath it, I remember this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's preservation.